Okay, so for my first question, this year the choir program has expanded dramatically. How have you been adjusting to that new change?
Well, it's a very exciting change. I'm very happy for that. I actually have a leadership team this year. I have a president, a vice president, a secretary, a choir librarian, and we also have sectional leaders. So it's been nice because they have really taken ownership of the choir program, and they have started helping me to plan activities within the week. They've also helped us to figure out some new activities to try. I really value a student's perspective when it comes to like our choir rehearsals and things like that. So it's been nice how they've helped me adapt our lessons. Like we're doing some rotations sometimes. One of our students who wants to be a music teacher, possibly even a choir director, is helping to run some of the stations, and it's been a cool adjustment and a great year to have a leadership team because they've allowed me to kind of change and grow in the way that I teach to help with our growing choir as well.
So yeah, you mentioned like what their jobs entail. Would you be willing to share who your student leaders are this year?
Sure. Jeremy Capwell is our president. Caitlin Ritter is our vice president. They're both seniors. Sienna English, who's a junior, is our secretary. And then Abby Repass, who is also a junior, is our choir librarian. And then Lorelai McWilliams, who is a junior, is our soprano section leader. And then we have two other people who might be stepping in to be section leaders for our tenors and for our altos as well. So we have much bigger sections, so it's nice because then those people can help to run the different parts of rehearsals when I can't be in 4 different places at once.
Yeah. So with the new amount of students that there have been this year, have you ever handled a choir of that size or maybe even larger?
So I used to teach elementary school before I came here, and I used to put on grade level programs, so one for kindergarten, one for first grade, one for second grade, and I would have about 180 kids up on the risers at a time. So it was a lot of children and a lot of little kids who were twirling around and doing, looking everywhere. So I've dealt with, I would say I'm good at moving the masses, but in terms of a high school choir, this is my first time ever in a professional setting, aside from my student teaching, working with a bigger choir this size, and it's very exciting.
Yeah.
So.
And with this new size, what do you think drove more people to choir this year than before?
So Mr. Copen, the theater director, and I work very, very closely. And I'm also involved in the musical. I built a lot of relationships in the musical this past year, Sasha. And I did a lot of recruiting through the musical. I also have the kids doing a lot of recruiting. A lot of them are bringing their friends along, reaching out to families. I also did something called a summer intensive this summer that gave kids a taste of what choir would be like if they joined. And actually, after we did the intensive, I had about 22 kids in choir, and we got about 6 new members once the school year started. And we think about at least 5 of them came from that intensive, which was pretty cool. So I would say between the intensive and really recruiting with the musical, if you work on your voice and you're really strong vocally, it helps your musical audition. And a lot of kids have that goal of wanting to be a lead in the musical or have a big part, and choir really is what's going to take you to that next level. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your part in Chicago the Musical. How was managing that group, specifically training them vocally for a musical, how was that different than from a typical choir class, like training them for a concert?
Great question. I think when you're training for a musical, you're teaching the kids to sing a little bit differently. In a musical, kids have to be able to project from the stage so that people all the way back at the auditorium can hear them. And really, I do this in both choir and in the musical. I focus on vocal health so much. I've been getting to know high school voices over the past year, and vocal health is so incredibly important. As an athlete conditions themselves for games and for practices, a vocalist has to also condition themselves and be fully prepared to be their best self, but also take care of themselves. So really a strong emphasis on vocal health and singing correctly when projecting directing, we focused a little bit more on like kind of a belting style singing and more character style singing, whereas in choir, we really focus on blending as a group and having a certain, I always call it the tall vowel sound in choir that really helps us sound like one like harmonious unit. That's that sound you want as a choir. So whereas in Broadway and Broadway shows or musicals, you can let those individual voices shine through a little bit more, or you might have, you know, more of a character performance, like the song We Both Reached for the Gun, everybody was news reporters. So that wasn't, you know, pretty singing that you might hear in a choir. And just, I guess, yeah, taking on the different roles and the characters. So yeah, it's just, it's similar in that it's all good, healthy singing. It's just different in some of when you get down to the nitty gritty, some of those little things could be different. So.
Yeah. And will you also be involved with Godspell and Footloose this year?
We've already started Godspell rehearsals. We're already a week in. So, yep, we're doing Godspell. Mr. Copen is living his best life in Italy right now, so we have vocal rehearsals all week. It's not an easy show. There's a lot of harmonies and individual singing. And then, yes, absolutely, we'll be involved in Footloose. So.
Amazing. So I have one last question regarding Tri-M. You're co-advisor of the Tri-M Music Honor Society this year. What does that job entail?
So Miss B is, she's like I consider her my leader because she helps guide me and everything. But basically it's a chance for band and choir kids to join this honor society. And they're able to have opportunities to earn service hours as part of the society and part of the group. It's really monitoring the students, helping to guide them in figuring out how they can get their hours, what are things that they can do to be involved. They're lucky in that we host a lot of concerts here. So Miss B and I typically will be here if there's a concert from the elementary or the middle school. Miss B and I will be here to guide the kids, give them jobs to do and how they can help the younger kids and work it out. They also help out with, they've helped out before, with Miss B's indoor guard group, like the indoor color guard groups and different festivals they've had and the drum line. So really it's advising kids and helping them to get a little bit more involved musically. We're hoping to visit a retirement home this year. That was a goal at the end of the year last year, but time just got away from us. So we're hoping this year to also get some service hours by going out into the community a bit more. So we really serve as their advisors and their musical experiences. So.
All right. That is all of the questions. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Do you need help turning off the cameras?
No, I think I've got it.
You've got it. Are you ever going to be on morning announcements?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah?
We work on a rotation, so.